I'm revealing my bench boost team ahead of double game week 30 plus. If that sounds good to you, stick around. Welcome all to the team reveal ahead of game week 30 plus. I'm going to be using my bench boost and unlimited transfers this week. My chips in hand, I've got my second wild card, bench boost and free hit still. So the plan is to use unlimited transfers this week and bench boost and then wild card next week, saving my free hit for a unexpected event further down the line. Team value is 103.9, which is the number you'll get if you add up all of the numbers in the top right hand side of each player. That is their transfer value. Robertson, De Bruyne, Jimenez, I'm getting for a slightly cheaper price because I'm carrying them over from my original team. That's why they're coloured slightly different. My rank is just under the 44k mark, which is far from the dizzy heights of 63rd in the world last season, but my aim this season is to get into the top 10k. So with the chips in hand, I feel reasonably confident of achieving that. Team selection wise, I've gone for a team with 10 double game week players and 5 single game week players. I did have a cup with 12 double game week players, but it meant bringing in the likes of Pepe or Lacazette and downgrading a premium defender to the likes of Matt Targett from Aston Villa, who I kind of want to stay away from because the Villa defence is pretty poor and the likes of Pepe and Lacazette aren't sure to start both games anyway. So being able to keep the likes of Robertson and Jimenez, even though they have one fixture, is more appealing to me. So bench boosting this week, my golden rule to myself was I wanted a balanced team of 15 players that would all be likely to start. That's the key to FPL, always pick nailed on players. So with that in mind, I've only gone for 2 Man City outfielders because 3 would disrupt the balance of the 15 men. So let's start with the goalkeepers and run through to the strikers. Leno and Edison are my choice of goalkeepers for the double game week. Leno's got 2 decent fixtures. Even though Arsenal's defence is a bit shaky, I expect him to get save points against Man City and have a vague chance of a clean sheet against Brighton. Edison is my choice of Man City defence, which is versus Laporte, but I'll come to that in a minute. Edison's got Arsenal and Burnley, which are 2 decent fixtures, hopefully chances of saves and clean sheets in those. The reason why I've gone for Edison over Laporte is I can save over 1 million by choosing a cheaper Sheffield United defender versus Henderson in goal. And Laporte is slightly more expensive than Edison. So if you need a bit of cash and you have Laporte and Henderson, consider downgrading to a cheaper Sheffield United defender and have Edison in goal. And you can use that million to spend it elsewhere in your team. Defender-wise, let's start left to right. I've kept Andy Robertson from my original team. I would love to have kept Trent, but I was 0.1 off from keeping Trent after downgrading Baldock to Basham, which is 4.6. So without destroying my team, I couldn't find 0.1 anywhere else, so I've stuck with Robertson and kept Baldock instead. So if you've got any ideas about where I can get that 0.1 without destroying my team, please let me know. Next defender is Marcus Alonso, 6.2 for Chelsea. He's got a plum fixture against Aston Villa where he has opportunities to score points at both ends of the pitch. He did lose his place to Emerson at one point during the season, but before lockdown he played 3 straight games in a row, getting 3 goals and 1 clean sheet. So I have big hopes for Alonso in this pretty good fixture. Next up on my 3 Sheffield United defenders, I thought it would be a good idea to treble up at the back given Sheffield United's excellent double game week fixtures against Villa and Newcastle. Newcastle in particular not displaying much attacking threat and Aston Villa not exactly setting the world alight in that department either. My choices are limited by price, so I haven't gone for John Lundstrom due to his rotation worries as well. So Egan is the first. He doesn't display too much attacking threat, only at set pieces. He's the central figure in the centre back, so he doesn't really maraud forwards like O'Connell. So O'Connell gets into advanced positions and has assist and even goal threat, so happy having him. And Baldock, the right wing back, is a little bit more expensive than the other 2, gets into advanced positions down the wing, crossing the ball in to the forwards. So I'm quite happy with those selections. What I do know is that they're all nailed on players likely to play both games. Onto the midfielders, and we'll start with Harvey Barnes for Leicester. They've got a good fixture against Watford. Barnes was in excellent form towards the end of the last period. where he scored, I think it was 2 goals and an assist against Aston Villa in their 4-0 win. So hopefully he can continue that form against Watford this game week. Mason Mount is next up for Chelsea. He's also got an excellent fixture against Aston Villa, poor defensively, so hopefully he can rekindle some form. I think he scored in the final game before lockdown, so hopefully that can give him some confidence at the start of this next new mini season. I remember he started well at the start of 2019-20 season, so hopefully he can match that from game week 30. Next up, Kevin De Bruyne doesn't need too much of an introduction. He's going to be ever present in most teams in this double game week. He's probably one of the most nailed options in that Man City team. And I see quite a lot of rate my teams out there with 3 Man City outfielders. So doubling up in the midfield with Kevin De Bruyne and someone like Sterling is going to eat up most of your budget, but that's absolutely fine. Sterling, in my view, is still a rotation worry. Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, even Leroy Sané can play in that position, so he's definitely not short of a start, so please consider that before you put him in your team. Next up, Jack Grealish for Aston Villa. He is their talisman, and even though they've got 2 difficult games in the double game week, it's worth having the man for just his sheer brilliance. He is the man who can conjure anything out of nothing. So even if rock-solid Sheffield United defence and top 6 team Chelsea, he could get something. You just never know. Next up, John McGinn for Aston Villa, the cheap 5th midfield option in my team. McGinn was out injured for a while in the previous period before lockdown, but he's back now and has goal threat. He scored a few goals this season, typically from long distance, but he does have a good shot on him, so anything can happen in a double game week, even though they are difficult fixtures. But I will keep my fingers crossed for a long-range screamer from John McGinn. Next on to the forwards, we've got Raul Jimenez. I've kept him for the good fixture against West Ham. He's been in good form for the last 2 seasons, an ever-present threat in that Wolves front line. I've kept him because Wolves have got good fixtures until the end of the season, and I can keep the value tied up in Jimenez, keeping him in my wild card next week. Moving on to my captain, Sergio Aguero. He is a ever-present threat in that front line for Man City, even though there is rotation worries with Jesus. But for me, he's still the main man up front, and he's the more explosive captain choice this week. Kevin De Bruyne is probably the more safe pick, but I feel Aguero, even if he gets limited minutes, can cause some severe damage against Arsenal and Burnley. Lastly, we've got Aubameyang for Arsenal. He is the 2nd highest point scorer after Jamie Vardy for forwards. 17 goals, 3 assists this season. He's an excellent choice for a double game week, even though one of them is against Man City. But he has a chance to score in every game, even though Arsenal are a bit temperamental. But I'm willing to fork out 11.1 for Aubameyang just to have him in my team. I don't think I've had him before this season. So fingers crossed for Aubameyang. It's been quite interesting picking this team for the double game week effectively at the start of a new season. We don't have stats to go on, so it's only on perceived value of players. So it's been quite fun just using my own intuition and experience just to pick these players ahead of the double game week. Let me know what you think about the team. If you could do anything differently, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for watching, guys. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, you can contact me on social media, TED Talks FPL. Have a great game week and good luck. I'll see you next time.